Throw away your Rockstar energy drinks, Pit Viper sunglasses, and your firearm stickers that definitely tell thieves there's a Glock 43 in the glove box. Do away with your needless tow mirrors, underutilized and overpriced overlanding equipment, and your oversized mud tires that only grip the pavement. Tremor, TRX, TRD, and other taint-tickling $20,000 ego-intensive badge markups need not apply here. You don't need trophy truck specs, nor will you ever use half of its potential. Now, feast your eyes on Toyota's opposite of ego offering. A truck so bare bones, even AC/DC could learn its chord progression. My 2009 Toyota Tacoma, base model, regular cab, 4x4, 4-cylinder TTR-FE engine with a 5-speed manual. Let's get into it. The Tacoma began its legacy in 1995 with the release of the first generation Tacoma. Before this, the compact pickup was officially known just as the Toyota pickup. The first gen spanned from 95 until 2004, with the second generation following suit in 2005 and spanning until 2015. All of the second gen regular cabs came with a 4-cylinder, with either the 4-speed auto or the 5-speed manual, much like the first generation. The only V6 unicorn you could get in the regular cab Tacoma was the optional 3.4-liter V6 in the first gen, from 95 until 97. There's much debate on what the best or most beloved generation Tacoma is. First, second, or third gen. Get out of here, fourth gen. With good reasoning for each, but Toyota really hit their stride with the second gen, with an almost unanimous agreement in reliability, durability, some modern tech, while still remaining relatively simple. Modern creature comforts? Limited! A touchscreen for the audio was finally added for the 2013 model year, and for my 2009, I received LED taillights and an auxiliary jack standard. Hey! 111,824 Tacomas were purchased in 2009, down from 144,000 the previous year, but hey, we were still nipples deep in the recession. Going through. Wish me luck. I don't have exact numbers, but out of the Access cab and the double cab variety, the regular cabs were the least sought after. Why? They were all base models and seen as disposable fleet vehicles, especially the two-wheel drive variants, perhaps the unofficial mascot of your local Napa Auto Parts store. And that's a real shame, because unlike American truck fleet vehicles of this era, you still see the Toyotas around, and there's a reason for that. The regular cab Toyota pickup was an icon from well before the 90s, making its way into the first generation Tacoma lineup, the second generation Tacoma lineup, but sadly, with continuously declining sales, Toyota ceased production of its iconic regular cab in 2014, just 1 year short of retiring with the remaining second gens. How undeserved. Being a mid-2000s design that is the second generation Tacoma, and a base model at that, the interior is utilitarian and simple, and that's what I love about it. The stereo and HVAC controls are all buttons or dials that go clickety-clack when handled, making location memorization easy, so you don't have to take your eyes off the road. There's no sneaky button or weird spot for the horn. Another Denver driver blew a stop sign, clench that hand and splay it right in the middle of the steering wheel, and let that car with expired temporary tags have it. To my knowledge, only the regular cabs had a bench seat. I have seen some regular cabs with bucket seats, so it may have been an option or may have come in the later years of the second gen. I'm not really sure. The bench seat does adjust back and forth, but the backrest does not adjust, so deal with it. The steering wheel is adjustable though. Seating position is upright, and like a dual sport or an adventure bike, you won't look cool while seated, but if you're concerned about your back and proper seated posture, it's how you should be sitting anyway. I find the seats to be just fine. I'm 6 foot, 180 pounds, and athletic, so take that how you will. Technically, the truck will seat 3, and I have had 3 people in the cab, only a handful of times. But plan on that being as a last-ditch solution if you need to get 2 friends somewhere, and hopefully it's not a long drive. Since it is a manual and I need room to operate the gears, this gives the hot seat individual even less room to sprawl out, leaving you realistically with 2 options. Straddle the gear shift, placing one foot in my footwell and one foot in the passenger footwell. Or what I normally do, have your friend sit kind of sideways with both feet in the passenger footwell. This is essentially a two-person truck. So if you have a family, drive for a rideshare, or you cart 2 or more people around often, it's likely not the configured truck for you. This works out for me as I have my girlfriend and I, and Rango usually goes in the bed. Or I can give a friend a ride somewhere. For camping trips or ski trips or whatever else, we usually take a couple of vehicles anyway, so I rarely feel the need for more accommodation.
Giant dome right in the middle.
Wait, you have to try for the seatbelt.
Oh, okay, sweet.
I think it's on the other side.
Oh. Jeez, dude. This is not
I think that one's mine.
Okay. Who's
Oh
first?
crap, where are my keys?
I am.
I did a pocket.
Where the hell is mine?
There we go.
Good luck.
Fish tag. You got it. All right, sweet. Got it.
All right, so you're doing it correctly. The one thing I pointed out was like, there's 2 ways to do this. Either you put like, you straddle it, put one leg here, one leg there, or that's probably the better technique.
You're going to be constantly
in the middle.
Yeah, I know it's really awkward.
You're going to be constantly moving your legs. So
Yeah.
you're going to be reaching in between my legs to shift around.
All right, probably the
that's
most
funny.
difficult gear. I need reverse.
Go for it. This is not a 3-person cab.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Premise will be okay.
Otherwise, no road trips in this thing like this.
Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
can you imagine anything more than like an hour in here?
No.
Let's not hit her.
100 points. Knock out the door, another 50. Yeah, dude, I'm like pushing up against you as you're
I
turning.
know.
That's nuts.
There's no shoulder room.
None.
Emily, how you doing over there?
I'm
She's
doing
the
all right.
most comfortable person in the
Yeah, I'm
house.
chilling.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've had 3 people in here. I kind of remember, I think I just kind of shimmied to the side like this as I'm like out of frame of the video. Yeah, I don't think you have a head restraint either.
I don't. You like, yeah, right?
I think,
Whiplash all the way.
actually, come to think, I don't know if it ever came with a third one when I bought the truck. I mean, it's got like the little holes for it, but
Huh. Couldn't have gotten stolen.
yeah, it'd be a weird thing to steal from a
Headrest.
truck. Like, I got the head
The
restraint.
headrest, steal
Yeah, reverse again. Am I in reverse or am I in forward? I'm in reverse. Nice. It's hard to tell. Oh, nope. There's reverse.
Sorry, dog.
Really getting in there.
Is that Dave?
Yeah, ever since he shaved his beard, he looks fucking 10 times more insane. Keep that in the video.
There she is. Having only 2 doors, I've never had a problem with the manual door locks and windows, and the passenger window crank is reachable by the driver since it is a mid-sized truck. The same cannot be said for my 2018 F-150 work truck with crank windows, since the larger size and width of the vehicle puts the crank out of reach of the driver. Oh yeah, and this truck didn't really come with cup holders. You kinda have like 1 or 2 in the side of either door here, but it can't house anything tall because the door handle's in the way right there. So this was my $4 solution. I had some leftover wood laying around, and I went to Home Depot and got, I think it's like 2-inch plumbing sleeves or something like that, and just glued it to the piece of wood. So this is my solution for having cup holders, and it's also got a phone holder right there. Since this is a 2009, it's before the commonality of Bluetooth that we have today. I was actually thinking about replacing my my receiver with like a Bluetooth capable one. However, after looking at the cost and the hassle that would be installing it, this is my $25 solution. A little Bluetooth reader. Works really good. I think I got it off Amazon. And as an added bonus, now every time I turn on my truck, I'm greeted by this sound.
Waiting for pairing. Paired.
All right, now that we got some morning traffic on my commute going, how does the truck ride? I don't know, it rides fine. Going over, they're doing a bunch of utility work here, so there's gonna be some bumps. Definitely like a truck, you know, it's got leaves in the back, so it's not gonna be the cushiest thing in the world, but then again, it's a truck. It knows what it is. But I've never complained about these bench seats, so I don't, comfort wise, I think it's fine. But then again, I'm what, 34. I'm at the range right now, so if you hear some distant gunfire, don't be alarmed. So, being a regular cab, as you can imagine, interior or cabin space is kind of a premium. So you tend to find space anywhere you can take it. And there's actually a decent amount of space back behind the seats here. Little lever. And this is where I carry basically all my emergency equipment in case I get stuck somewhere. I'll come around the other side and kind of show you what I keep back here. So just to give you an idea of some of the stuff I carry back here, I've got a small ratchet set. It's my tire plug kit. I've used this a few times. I've got extension cord. I've got a little inverter, so if I need to inflate or charge something. Fire extinguisher. I got a tow strap right there. And going back into the corner, that's a pair of not ratchet straps. It's whatchamacallit, jumper cables. And tire inflator. This is my kind of my portable power bank, I guess. It also has a tire inflator, jumper cables. I think it's got a light and a couple other little gimmicky things, but I've used this several times. I just make sure to charge it maybe like once a month just to make sure it has juice. Got of course a little bottle jack, and I'll flip around to the other side here. And right behind the driver's seat here, I've got a siphon pump, you know, just in case. Monkey wrench, kind of sits back there, and first aid kit. Do I have anything else? I think it's a spare serpentine belt. And this is the hardware, essentially, to get to my spare tire. That's, like on most trucks, it sits underneath your bed. And last but not least, I have my little garden spade I picked up at Goodwill for $3. And toilet paper. You combine those, and you have yourself a good little poop when you're in the middle of nowhere. And believe me, those two things I use the most. Oh shit! I do have plans to add a little bit more to the back here, create like a little rack to carry some more tools, like probably a tree saw, a knife, and maybe I'll put my shovel in kind of a more clever spot, but yeah. And also, when you put the seat back, there is still a little bit more room like up here, so you can store a couple more things if you're tight on space in the cab.
Waiting for Perry. Paired.
This is the 2TRFE 2.7 liter 4-cylinder engine. A very good engine. But let's get one thing straight. This is not a powerful engine. Spec sheets will tell you 159 horsepower and 180 foot-pounds of torque. But after 16 years and living a mile up in the air, am I making 120 horsepower? Passing through the Eisenhower Tunnel along I-70, am I making 100 horsepower? Passing cars on the highway will require planning, and fifth gear is a suggestion past 70 miles an hour. Flatter downhill grade on the highway? Sure, but anything sloped uphill, or if a decent headwind is present, you're back into fourth gear. So, besides very steep mountain corridors, I'm on the highway right now, and driving this truck, it's, you know, maintaining like 70, 75. Fifth gear is kind of a suggestion. It's kind of like you're either going flat or slightly downhill. It'll hold fifth gear, but like right now I got a slight incline. You just have to get used to downshifting the fourth and kind of maintaining speed. Just, it is what it is. Right now I'm going 75 at about 3,300 RPM, slight hill. So as soon as we crest this, I'll put it back in fifth. Save a little bit on gas. But that's the nice thing about this engine. It's every forum I've read, and I guess I'm proof now, even though I only have about 187,000 miles. But the engine will do it. You know, don't redline it, but it'll hold 4,000, 4,500 RPM, no problem. So, in that regard, it's got a little bit of torque. I think horsepower-wise, at least from the factory 16 years ago in 2009, this truck was rated at 159 horsepower. But, you know, I'm probably a mile and a half up right now. You know, 16 years of age, so I'm lucky to be making 120, 130 now. So. But it'll do it. It's got a little bit more torque than it does horsepower. I think the torque I might get this wrong, but it's 180 foot-pounds, I believe. So, you know, it's got some pull. Right now, I've got my co-pilot. There you go. Next to me. I've got a truck full of camping gear in the back, and I've got my 350-pound DRZ on a trailer hitch on the back as well. So a little bit of a tight turn, we'll downshift to fourth. So it'll do it. It'll do it. You just have to think like an actual trucker and plan your hills and such a little bit more. So. All right, so this is the famous I-70 mountain corridor in Colorado, and I just want to point out kind of how to work an underpowered vehicle in the mountains. I'm in fourth gear right now, and I don't know if you can see my speedometer, but we are rapidly losing speed, plus we have a semi in front of us. I will not be able to hold fourth, so just go back down to third, and this is most of the uphills that I do in I-70. You just have to hold third gear. Yes, you might be pinned at 4,000, 4,500 RPM, but the engine will do it, and as long as you can hold 60, 65, you should be, it's really the worst of it going through the mountain corridor. So if you can handle that, you can handle just about anything with this truck. So another added benefit about this truck, and this is probably more so just driving stick in general, but driving through the mountains when there's a lot of hills and such, I am rarely on my brakes. I'm almost never braking, I just engine brake. As you can see, a lot of people are just kind of slamming on their brakes right now. I mean, it's a thing in the mountains when a lot of people like warp their brake rotors. I mean, I've known people that change them like every year or two, and I've tried to tell them like, hey, just like downshift or put in third or something. But I mean, that is just another benefit in general, just driving stick. You can just engine brake and kind of maintain your speed a lot better than driving an automatic. This engine came to life after the 2.7-liter 3RZ FE 4-banger of the first generation Tacoma, becoming a staple during the second generation Tacoma starting in 2005, and even being an option with the third gen Tacomas. And although it doesn't have the power of its V6 brother, it is a very robust engine. From mechanics to Toyota enthusiasts alike, it is quite beloved and bulletproof. And as I approach 200,000 miles with mine, I can attest that it's been hassle-free. Just a simple spark plug change at 100,000 miles, which I will again be doing soon to allow another 100,000 miles to tack on my truck. Toyota gave this engine a timing chain, so thank you, Toyota.
Deer.
Hey, puppy dog. The 5-speed manual is nothing to write home about, but scratches that itch if you enjoy roaring through the gears. I haven't driven its 4-speed automatic cousin, but I couldn't even imagine a more lethargic alternative. The 5-speed manual will make you a better driver. It's notchy feeling, doesn't like to be quick shifted, and is jerky if you don't use the right amount of clutch or rev match, making it all the more satisfying when you do smoothly change gears. It doesn't like to go back into first unless you're at a near stop or like 3 miles an hour or less, and I'm not sure if reverse is synchronized. When it's being stubborn, I'll shift into fifth, then back down into reverse, which usually gets it aligned. The GTI I owned before this allowed me to be lazy and shift early, having enough power to still lug the car at low RPMs and still be able to pass in 6th gear on the highway. But do not lug the 2.7. RPM is your friend. The power band seems to live in the 3,500 to upper 4,000 RPM range, where the VVTi, comes to life. Drop a gear and disappear. Maybe a somewhat truthful motorcycle slogan, but drop 2 gears and still wait a year may be more accurate. Like I already stated, 5th gear is for sipping fuel past 70 miles an hour on a flat or downhill slope, but for anything else, you're back into 4th, or even 3rd along a steep mountain corridor. But for its lackluster performance on a spec sheet, I consider myself a manual enthusiast, and performance car or not, I genuinely enjoy driving a manual, and being a robust manual 5-speed, the transmission should last the lifetime of the truck. And in today's market, where people are strapped for cash, reliability and longevity are worth their weight in gold. Because I believe the 2TRFE, or Toyota's 2.7-liter 4-cylinder, will be one of those engines that will gain notoriety, but in retrospect. Will it be as sought after and as beloved as the old 22RE? I hope so, but only time will tell. This truck is a breeze to own. It's small and compact, and washing it doesn't take long, especially if you don't have a camper shell attached to it. Being a regular cab, the wheelbase is even shorter than the extended cab, making the turning radius almost unparalleled for a pickup. Turning around or making U-turns on a 2-lane road is actually possible, and because the wheelbase is so short, it makes for a tight turning and nimble truck off-road. It's a simple iron block aluminum head 4-cylinder with a timing chain, so no need to replace the timing belt every 100,000 miles or so. Since it is the 4-banger and not the V6, there's even more room in the engine bay to maintain and replace things. It has a limited slip differential and ABS, but otherwise very few electronics, including omission of electronic doors and windows. The suspension consists of simple leaf springs in the rear and struts up front, with drums in the rear and disc brakes up front as well. Flush your fluids every few years and keep them topped off. Change your essential oils per schedule, engine, transfer case, differentials, don't forget to grease your Zerk fittings, and replace your engine and cabin air filter every 10,000 miles or so. And this truck should make it to 300,000 miles at the very least. There's a misconception in the car world that you need to own a trophy truck or a modified sports car in order to be labeled a car guy. But I think if you maintain and work on your vehicle, care about it, keep in good shape, and strive to understand how its systems work and repair them when they are faulty, then you're someone I'd hang out with in the garage and have a beer with. We've seen the trends that trucks have been undergoing the past few decades. Untouchable appliances instead of reliable, fixable workhorses. Luxury yachts instead of humble utility. Increased cabin size at the cost of reduced bed size. And I realized putting this video together that this is a rare truck. A regular cab, manual doors and windows, a standard transmission with a bench seat, a third window for bed access they can easily reach, and a truck devoid of tech that lasted all the way up until 2014. This is the way trucks used to be from the 1920s all the way up to the late 90s, before a relatively strong economy and consumerism destroyed the humble meaning of what a truck was. This is the type of truck your uncle is referring to when he scoffs and says, "That's not a truck," to any of today's modern, supersized appliances on wheels. He'll want a properly sized 8-foot bed, but still, a 6-foot is quite usable. And this truck ticks all of the other boxes. But you sit down in here, and you hear the echoes of truck past. And you realize that this is about as close as you can get to the utilitarian ethos of a truck. And with the addition of heat and AC and Bluetooth capability, what more do you really need besides cruise control? Toyota didn't kill off this truck. We did. And in 2025, we need trucks like this more than ever before. One of the greatest gifts that my dad gave me, or really taught me, was the gift of curiosity, trust, patience, and guidance for maintaining things, building things, and having a general curiosity for how things work. With an oil change on my sister's car coming up, and at age 16 and fresh into owning my own first car, my dad spent a Saturday morning in the driveway teaching my sister and I one of the most fundamental maintenance tasks of vehicle ownership: how to change our oil and filter. But this was one more notch in my how to maintain things belt, and really why I firmly believe that every vehicle owner should learn how to change their oil, because successfully doing it grants you the confidence and springboards you to other maintenance jobs, like changing your brake pads and rotors, your serpentine belt, learning how to flush your fluids and top them off, and before you know it, you're rebuilding the front end of your truck. This reinforces pride of ownership while learning new skills, all while paying a fraction of what it would cost at the mechanic/stealership. Without this, without my dad, I don't know how I'd survive this mess that we have today. We also live in the golden age of the weekend mechanic, or the DIYer. I hate seeing that term, but you catch my drift. With forums and YouTube videos covering routine maintenance and repair for nearly every problem and every gremlin found on common vehicles. We see the prices of new vehicles and it is appalling. Can you afford $20,000 for a used truck? Probably. $30,000? Not really. $40,000? No. $50,000? No. $60,000? Absolutely not. $70,000? No. What the And the list goes on. Combined with inflation, combined with the EPA and manufacturers sacrificing reliability in their engines and transmissions for the obsessive squeeze of the smallest engine possible, thinner and thinner oil, slapping on a turbo, slapping on a crap CVT, or a transmission with 20 gears that is constantly hunting for the optimum RPM to sip fuel, combined with cheaper and cheaper components, this all adds up to strain the engine and the transmission. Then finally throw in the purposeful omission from manufacturers for creating easy to service items like, oh, I don't know, room in the engine bay, or easily accessible drain and fill plugs, or general orientation of systems that can easily be serviced or replaced. Removing the dipstick. What are we even doing? People are starting to reject modern vehicles for all of these reasons. And I think all of the years of your uncle exclaiming, "They just don't make cars like they used to," at every family gathering rings truest today, as this all comes to a head. The lack of quality and care in modern vehicles is so apparent now, and hardworking people are financially strained more than ever in modern times. The cross between reliability, modern but simple tech, and longevity, I believe, truly peaked in the 90s. Maybe even the early 2000s, and people are finally waking up to it. People are holding on to their vehicle longer than ever. More people are learning to maintain their vehicle more than ever before, too. Just look at channels like Scotty Kilmer, Chris Fix, The Car Care Nut, etc., etc. There's tons of great channels out there. But the point being, people are pricing their options and taking their vehicles to the mechanic for bigger and bigger repairs. Repairs that even 10 years ago would be considered totaled, or I'm just going to sell the car for whatever and just buy another car. Front end rebuilds, engine and transmission replacements, 300,000 mile overhauls are all becoming more and more common as people price out their best option, which usually comes down to people keeping their current vehicle on the road almost at all costs. My advice would be to find a vehicle with a reliable reputation, a good engine and transmission that's been maintained, and that is non-turbo. A manual transmission is always a plus. I always consider it the bolt-action rifle of the car world. Not a lot that can go wrong. And if this leads you to a 20-year-old Honda Civic, fantastic. Don't obsess too much about fuel economy. Fuel economy is, of course, a plus, but not at the cost of reliability. If a vehicle gets 40 miles per gallon, but the engine and turbo explode at 150,000 miles, I'd rather have the car that gets 25 miles per gallon and will last 400,000 miles. My truck reliably gets about 21, and I'm okay with that. If you're into actually caring about the environment, just know that keeping a used vehicle on the road for as long as you can is greener than buying a new car. All this to say, I'm glad I bought my truck when I did. No, it's not the V6. The inline 4 isn't known for power, but damn it, does this engine just run. And I believe the 2TRFE will help me fulfill my goal of 350,000 miles. I wasn't really sure how to close out with this next segment because it's difficult, if not impossible, to quantify. And this is arguably the most important point. The most important people in our life, the most important possessions that we own, we gravitate towards and tend to hold on. This occurs over the bond of difficult times and strife and making it out on the other side. Or from familiarity and longevity, having that person or thing by your side through the years. And if that special someone or something brings you genuine joy and happiness, well then, possessionally speaking, you have my 2009 Tacoma. What does your vehicle mean to you? 9 years ago, I moved out west to pursue my dream of camping, hiking, snowboarding, shooting, and riding on the weekends in remote areas off the beaten path, and I needed a truck that fit my lifestyle. And this truck does it all reliably and at a low cost. Parts are well built, cheap, and plentiful, and this is a simple and welcoming vehicle to teach you the basics of vehicle maintenance. I willfully traded my 2009 GTI for this truck, ultimately trading speed for reliability and utility. Unless you're hauling heavy material and equipment or towing regularly, horsepower and torque stats are just impressive numbers on a sheet of paper, and I've learned that power is not everything. This truck is the epitome of freedom, and I don't mean that in a dorky cliche way, I really mean it. As I look back at photos of all the trips I've been on from the past 8 years or so, I had my Tacoma to get me there. And you start to look at your old steel chariot like an old friend who's always there for you, climbing in age and mileage just like the rest of us. And when you get down to it, your vehicle is your own vessel and means for you to do the things in life that are most meaningful to you. So when you reminisce on old photos from unforgettable trips and memories that defined you, you see that old friend parked at that campsite, or right there in the background holding your kayak or your gear and your most precious cargo, or allowing you to drive overnight across state lines so you can see your grandpa at the hospital one last time. It is then, and only then, when you go back and watch King of the Hill, and you watch that episode with an emotional Hank Hill crying over his truck that won't start. It seemed funny when we were kids watching it for the first time, and you later see it stall on the railroad tracks only for a freight train to come by and smash it to pieces. But watching it now with context, you realize how emotionally devastating this is for Hank. Hank had 20 years of memories tied to that truck, and it was always there for him. It was one of the few things in his life that never let him down. And seeing it quiver, seeing it fail to start, and seeing it no longer was like losing an old friend. So to wrap this up, I can't think of a better quote from none other than Mr. Regular himself from Regular Car Reviews. Car stories are really people stories.